this is the second webinar, and yeah, we have presentation for Algeria and Georgia together. Yeah. So,
Okay. For
okay, so these are the timetable for today's seminar, and yeah, so I think almost everybody is getting ready for the seminar, and this is timetable. So as the first presentation, the representative of Georgia, I heard that fellows of Georgia, you are separated each part for delivering presentation, right?
No, I will be presenting the entire presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first presentation comes from Georgia. So after Georgia presentation and action plan, Mr. Choi will give you feedback, and then so Sonia, are you representative of the second webinar action plan?
Today is gonna be Abdelrazak, who is the presenter.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay. So after that, Mr. Choi will give you feedback also, and after that we have discussion, and you can give questions, and we will give you answer. So, okay, shall we start?
yes, okay. I can start our presentation.
Yeah, sorry for that, but yeah, Cassie, are you ready for the presentation?
Yeah, sure. I will share the screen in a second.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can you see the
Yes.
screen? Okay. Let me start presenting. First of all, I need to say that the first part of action plan was actually repeating what we had in the country report with several changes and modifications. And I'll try not to repeat myself. I will just talk about what we modified for that part.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anouk and Hati are waiting for you to let you in. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, can I continue?
Mhm.
Okay, so what we changed is actually the industry part based on your feedback. We had winemaking and metallurgy, and we replaced metallurgy with tourism because even though it's currently dead in our country due to COVID-19, it's still one of the biggest and major industries of Georgia. So we think it is really crucial to include it in the country report and both an action plan as well. I'll try to find where it is. Yeah, this is wine production part, and here is the tourism part. Yeah, so I will talk about it very briefly. So basically, Georgia ranks 68th out of 140 countries in the Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index based on 2019 data. This is the graph showing the rank of Georgia in several directions, like safety and security, business environment, and actually business environment is the one where we are like top among other directions. We're 24th, and the worst situation is in terms of natural resources. So level of technology. Progress in mobile technology and the rapid development of aviation sector has led to major changes in the market. So the assumption that retired people are the most stable tourists because they have more free time and financial savings is no longer validated. Because the number of young travelers is growing is not a reason and explanation of this anymore. So the majority of international tourists prefer to visit new unexplored places, and Europe maintains the leading position on the world map. But among those countries, Georgia is included as well in among Eastern European states. At the same time, competition within the tourism and hotel industry hit its historical heights, forcing given transnational corporations to spare no effort in order to maintain their position on the market. So the status of trade in the industry, based on the 2018 and 2019 data, the international visitors, like the number of them, was 7.2 million and increased up to 7.7 million, and the revenues from $3.2 billion went up to $3.3 billion in 2019, which actually is 18.7% of the GDP. And among principal trading countries, there are Azerbaijan, Armenia, Russia, Turkey, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, Kazakhstan, and others. So the main purpose of trade graphs you can see here, so I'll not go into very details. And the popular tourism activities in Georgia, which includes like shopping, sightseeing, swimming in the sea, river, lake, etc. Yes, and the total number of people employed in this direction is 150,000. And again, R&D information is not really accessible for us, for public, sadly. Now, regarding the economic development goal of Georgia, the country faces the need for radical and rapid economic reforms, but the economic reforms of recent years in the country could not really bring any results because they were inconsistent and spontaneous. And one of the goals stated in the program documents of our country is poverty, and due to the significant reduction in unemployment, it still remains unattainable. Although several times in the most recent years, there has been economic growth at high rates, but a large part of the population can't really benefit from it. And our main goal is to benefit from the goodness brought by economic growth and not to just see it as a fact, but not feel it. So the main base of the country's economic development strategy is the private sector. Thus, it is crucial to establish an economic order where the private sector is free to make decisions, is protected by the rule of law, and is the main driving force of economic development. And for the last 27 years, the population in our country has been declining from 5 million down to 3.7 million. And that is now fewer people that share the income generated in the country, but they still do not have enough income to sustain themselves and to get simple products or live normally. As of 2016, 21% of the population lives in absolute poverty, with an average annual per capita income of about $3,800. And Georgia ranks 111th in the world with an average per capita income, which is very bad results. And because of the coronavirus, this data actually been deteriorated even further. But because it's still not the end of the year, we still don't have that exact data, so I can't really provide that information. But I can totally say that the situation is much worse. Okay, so another determinant of economic growth is foreign direct investment in Georgia. Its statistics are produced not on a monthly basis, but on a quarterly ones. So in 2019, a total of $1.27 billion was invested in Georgia, and specifically $284 million in the first quarter. The largest amount of products and services in Georgia is produced in Tbilisi, in the capital of our country, and it includes mainly trade of automobiles, household goods and personal items, repair and transport, and communications products and services. And biggest part of it still operates despite coronavirus, so it's still operational field. So strategy for 2020, you can see the table here for better understanding. So here are the indicators and current rate and the forecast rate. So first one is GDP per capita, which is 5,800 approximately. And forecast rate is for 2020 strategy, it's 13,000 for GDP per capita nominal in GEL. And then Gini coefficient is 0.41, current rate and forecast is 0.35. Inflation percent is 2.4 and forecast is 3.0. Unemployment percent is 15 and the forecast is less than 12, but that is very unlikely due to COVID-19. And taxes as a share in GDP per percent is 24 and the expectation is 25. And in terms of exports of goods and services, and again, in terms of share in GDP percent, it's 45 and expectation is 65. A sectoral structure of economic growth in Georgia. According to 2016 data, the highest economic growth was observed in the following sectors: hotels and restaurants, 9.9%, financial activities, 9.3%, construction, 8.1%, operations, real estate, 6.7%, and mining and manufacturing, 5.0%. An important role in the economic growth of the country in the first quarter of 2017 was held by construction and communications. And the sectoral structure of economic growth, the fastest growing were construction by 21.6%, and you can see the graph below, communications, then hotels and restaurants, and then manufacturing. Yes, so development direction. Let me start with the side of industry. So Georgia has made important progress in developing skills and entrepreneurial culture, especially regarding skills needs anticipation, the involvement of employers in setting education and training standards, and the introduction of mandatory entrepreneurship modules and vocational education and training curricula. But those are still in the process of implementation, not fully implemented yet. The adoption of a strategic framework for women's entrepreneurship could help Georgia close the gender gap in entrepreneurship, but the emphasis should be put on the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of other various activities underway to effectively assess their impact, first of all. So the steps led to the adoption of Georgia's SME Development Strategy for 2016-2020, a multi-year government strategy with the stated objective of supporting the development and economic role of SMEs. The strategy identifies 33 priority actions to be taken in important areas for SME development, such as improving legislation, institutional frameworks, and the operational environment, as well as widening access to finance, broadening internationalization, and supporting innovation activities, etc. Then the side of enterprise, institutional strength is a relatively strong part of Georgia, which in turn includes political, business, and regulatory environment. The same can be said about the business environment, which makes the ease of taking a loan, investments, implies trade and competition. According to the survey results conducted by the Georgia's National Statistics Service, during 2017, 3% of enterprises have brought to market new or substantially improved goods. Innovations in most cases were developed independently by enterprises. In other cases, they received support in this regard from enterprises or institutions. 42.1% of the implemented innovations were new for enterprises, while 57.9% were a novelty for the entire market. And enterprise involvement in innovation activities is relatively highly expressed in areas such as machine, hardware, and software, purchase of collateral by 19.5%. Now, side of infrastructure, the aim actually is to develop a cluster or create a new cluster for which Sobol offers the cluster initiation model. The model shows the interrelated factors that contribute to the success of cluster initiatives or an existing cluster. So these are social, political, and economic environments. Considering these clusters, they're considered an instrument of national or regional development by many, and this initiative is implemented within the framework of a government project, which is funded by the public or through public and private foundations. It should be noted that the region's social, cultural, and economic conditions for the implementation of such an initiative should be allowed, which is not allowed recently. So goals of the initiative is research network development, private lobby and relations with the political sector, commercial cooperation, development of education infrastructure, and innovations and development of new technologies, development of existing cluster and expansion. Now the development field. Side of enterprise, Georgia has a law approving the rules of the establishment, arrangement, and operation of a free industrial zone. And there are 5 industrial zones in our country. So Georgia's free industrial zones are characterized by the following advantages. Number 1, tax breaks. Number 2, simplified procedures. Payments can be made in any currency, exempt from obtaining a majority of licenses, permits from obligation, and independence of local self-government bodies. Now for this, I will bring the example of Tbilisi Technology Park Free Industrial Zone, which is owned by Bitfer Holding from Netherlands, and it's 100% organizer administrator. And Georgia Technology Park operating term is 49 years, starting from 2015. It occupies 17 hectares of land, which is divided into 28 individual plots of land and has direct access to Georgia's largest labor resources, as well as the zone. And the advantage is the transportation of cargo to the main highway, to the Tbilisi district, direct proximity to the international airport, which is 30 kilometers away, and the city center, which is 17 kilometers away. The zone is intended for companies whose activities are technological, commercial, service provider, light industry, logistics, warehousing, and other fields. And there are no restrictions on foreign companies under Georgian law on the form of ownership. Therefore, the Tbilisi Free Zone enterprise can be established by local and foreign individuals, as well as local and foreign legal entities. Now, the side of infrastructure. The following zones are defined by the main types: customs, trade, industrial, scientific, technical, and service. Okay, now let's move on to chapter 2, which is SWOT analysis, strengths and weaknesses based on the country review. So the government of Georgia, the Ministry of Economic, promotes the following directions in the country, which are actually the strengths of our country: export promotion, promoting the development of entrepreneurship, promoting innovative businesses, transport, communication, information, and modern technologies, national quality infrastructure, and the spatial arrangement, urban planning, and construction. Weaknesses. According to the index, Georgia has the most difficult situation in terms of innovation and market size. Georgia ranks 91st in terms of innovation and 101st in terms of market size. The low level of innovation is due to the rather low rate of research R&D by companies, small amounts of money spent on research by universities, and the small number of qualified engineers and scientists in the country. Georgia's rating score in the direction of innovations is 32.7, and in this respect, the country's score is the same, but the place occupied has deteriorated as other countries have improved their position in this criterion. Now, the opportunity. The government vision is based on the development of the country with new innovative reforms in all sectoral directions indicated on the structural recovery of the economy and productivity growth. The country is competitive, taking full advantage of benefits and consequently poverty alleviation, supporting the sections of the population who need it most, on environmental measures, on improving the ecological environment. And now the threats, two major ones. Number one, getting a new product or service, the most important part of a business model that is unknown, and new one that needs to be tested to see if people will pay money and if it's important to them. And it is in this process that validated learning becomes crucial, as it is important for an enterprise to acquire knowledge, information about the business that helps to develop the product, service in the right direction. And number two, extremely unexpected. If the business model is unknown to us, and often in many cases the problem is unknown, it naturally leads to many unforeseen events, processes, and moods from public. So creation of a product, service without assumptions, and then it turns out that the customer doesn't pay, something is not likable for them. So that is why it is important to develop product service in the right direction with small steps, fast and active customer relations, and their evaluation, which is underdeveloped currently in the country, and it's more a consideration and attention. Okay, now the status of the economy and the industry part. Solution: building a technopark. So basically, this is a brief description what it means to build Technopark and all subcomponents of it, which actually we've seen in the lectures part, and I will not go into very details, but it's basically research case studies before making a Technopark, then special law for protecting and supporting Technoparks, and so on, ending with Technopark itself as a center for regional industries in the country. This is the map of Georgia with our STPs. I'm so sorry. So the main function of the STPs in Georgia, which I think is not very different from other models. So create an ecosystem which improves all kinds of innovations and technologies in the country, promote knowledge and innovations and stimulate their usage in all fields of economy, create an environment for the growth of innovations and high-tech products, and develop high-speed internet nationwide, which is actually added by us and the model itself, because in our regions, and especially high mountainous regions, there are a lot of people without internet, without computers. So we try to help them develop their knowledge and skills by providing high-speed internet in those regions. And actually, we've helped more than, I guess, 70 villages already. The role of the STP is to develop its own infrastructural zone to improve innovations and technologies, provide their powerful commercialization mechanisms according to the country's innovation and technology development priorities, facilitate the growth of venture capital and even private companies' participation in the process of research and commercialization of innovations, and create effective mechanisms for increasing competitiveness, including the active enrichments and distance learning tools. Now, the status of the STPs. So we have 6 technoparks, official technoparks. Others are just, I guess, not as global as Technopark model could be. So I will discuss only the 6. One of them is in the capital, Tbilisi, and other 5 are in the regions. As you see, the oldest one is the Tbilisi Technopark, which was opened in 2016 January. So it's been open only for 4 years. And it has 31 official employees, while other technoparks in the regions have 4, 2, 2, 4, and 2 employees, which is really low number. Let's move on to the mission, goals, and objectives of proposed Technopark model. So mission is to create a startup ecosystem in region, create new jobs, attract foreign capital, increase local and national competitiveness. Main functions and components include technical assistance and consulting and information, IT and software development, information service linked to the university library, professional services, financial and management, consulting, accounting, marketing, and legal services, logistical support, and training and education. Now, for specifically GTAD, Georgia's Innovation Technology Agency's side, difficulties in developing Technopark model. So side of infrastructure, Georgia has technoparks in regions, but it's not an effective tool for balanced regional development, sadly. Side of law, with the new law on innovation adopted by the Parliament of Georgia in June 2016, it is a good time to think about the future, consider what the new law aims to achieve, and also take a look at some of the recent technological trends which are affecting how we do business. But consider that it's from 2016. After that, as the technologies evolve, as the market's requirements and demands evolve and increase, law has not been modified at all. So it needs more modifications to adjust it to the current situation in the country, which we don't have currently, but hopefully we will have very soon. Side of budget. Without financial support from the central or local government, it will be very difficult to manage technoparks. So at least 10 years are required before a park can become self-sustaining by obtaining equity position in genuine companies. 5 to 10 years should be allowed before expecting economic development results from a center functioning with public funds. But I would add that right now the government demands that we show them that the majority of our startups that we've funded or supported already achieved the profit-making level. And sadly, they don't understand that it takes more time and more years of support than just 4, as you saw on the upper page. So aside of manpower, Georgia's technoparks should have an organizational system, which we do not have. We should have a local industry and evaluation board, policy planning team, business support team, specialized centers, administrative support office. And each technopark should have at least 10 employees. And as you saw, we have 2 employees in some of them, 4 in others, and so on. And side of support for SMEs and startups. In Georgia, we do not have many industry university or SME supporting centers. So Technopark is the only way for startups. And the highest and biggest pressure goes on GTA, our agency in this case, because simply they don't know who to apply to. And other than that, as the pressure increases, we need to develop and kind of meet their needs promptly, which is impossible at this time because of the highest demand ever in our history. So now the budget plan, I will go very briefly through this. So we built this budget plan for only one technopark based on our experience that we've built and how much money we've spent on it and what exactly. So for one building, it's total of $8.5 million for 3 years. So out of this, for a building itself goes $1.8 million, for equipment goes $3.7 million, and for operational costs is $3 million. Okay, this is the action plan timetable. So for 2021, establishing master plan in the first quartile, then building Technopark in the second one, then business startup support in the then the R&D commercialization is in the third quartile, and business startup support is in the fourth, along with training and education and policy development. So yeah, basically this repeats in other two as well. And the last, and I guess very important one regarding our flaws in our GTAS and Technopark system, what we don't have and what we should have specifically. So as we support many startups and provide funds for them, post-award monitoring and reporting systems like development, because most of the time we give them award, we help them to develop even more their business. And as the monitoring and reporting period ends, we have no communication anymore with them, which is very bad. And actually, this reporting and monitoring time is not, in my opinion, well defined, because let's say you have 1 year to use the money award given to you, and after 1 year, no one really asks what do you do after that, how you evolve after that, or even if you're closed at all and bankrupt. There is no program services implemented for beneficiary startups for further cooperation after finishing the reporting time period, as I said. And there's no evaluation system implemented in Georgian technoparks at all. So it's been open for 4 years, the oldest one in capital, Tbilisi, right? And during this 4 years, there's no single evaluation paper based on the standards that you offered us, that you taught us actually through lectures. And I think this is very important in any business, in any agency, because without seeing your results on an official paper and statistics and feedback from all the stakeholders, it is impossible to implement a correct action plan and a strategy for further development, which we absolutely lack right now. And then the lack of pre-accelerator and incubator programs in regional technoparks, because most of those programs are implemented mainly in the capital of Tbilisi. And even though we have 5 other technoparks, they're lack of those incubator and accelerator programs. Because that's actually due to the less interest from Georgians from the regions and the lack of knowledge in this regard. That's why we started this internet nationwide program. And then the lack of regional balance growth, and finally, less professional technical administrative staff. Because again, due to the number of years, like 4 years of being open, as GTA and technoparks, we did not really have enough time to understand what kind of professionals we need in this regard, and it was experimental, so to call it this way. So right now we're facing the issue of lack of professionals who understand the standards, legal side of it, who understand the market demands, and who can actually adjust it to the Georgia's situation and environment and say that, okay, this standard works for it and the other standard should be modified, let's say. So these are the main obstacles that we face that we need to address and actually solve in a very near future if we want our technoparks and the agency to continue operation, because otherwise the main issue is that we are creating startups, and at the end we do not have any startups. So I think these issues are really, really crucial, and that was the action plan from our side. So thank you, and if you have enough some questions, we're ready to answer.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation, Cassie, and all of fellows of Georgia. So yeah, I think we don't have enough time, so let's move to the just right away to feedback. Mr. Choi, can you please do feedback?
Yes, thanks for your good explanation for successful technical model. Then I think there are many kinds of important factors for successful technopark business in your country. For your reference, technopark model, technopark business are composed of space, organization, business or commercialization, and network.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then, however, you have any technopark organization in your country. I think each technopark, you don't have enough manpower in your country. Do you are there any reason to have enough manpower level in your Technopark? And any plan for
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. The Technopark system doesn't have any power in the country yet. And for this, I think the main reason is that the country and the government itself hasn't seen any substantial results, anything that they can actually take as an argument that they need to continue funding the agency and the Technoparks and supporting SMEs. So another behind this, the main reason is evaluation issue. That's why we need very, very, very promptly the evaluation system implementation in our system in the JITA to prove to the government why they should continue supporting us and give us enough power in the country to help us become the main driving force of SMEs development, not just the name Georgia's Innovation Technology Agency, but the very essence behind it,
And there are many similar institutions for supporting SMEs, including startups, for developing your industry.
Yes, there is one more.
Such as Regional Innovation Hub and Innovation Center, and the control.
We have one more agency, which I mentioned when we were presenting the country report, which is manufacturing Georgia. But the problem is that they do not have regional centers. They do support SMEs, they do help them and fund them, but it's only one office in Tbilisi, no offices in the regional centers. Even though you can, even like, let's say you're living in a region, a high mountainous region, you of course can send your project and ask them for support, but there's not enough knowledge about this agency because they do not have offices and they do not promote their projects as widely as we do, for example.
Okay. And I think if you established Technopark, a newly established Technopark in your country, then it's important for distinguish between the existing science Technopark and the newly established Technopark. Do you?
So actually, you asked that question the last time too, and we do not have that system either. So that is one more thing that we need to implement as soon as possible, and maybe that is the main cause of those other problems that I mentioned before.
Then I think the successful Technopark business should be developed industry, regional industry, in advance for establishing a Technopark in your country. So I'd recommend you to set a strategic industry for your country or region.
So I'm so sorry if I understand it correctly, the relation between the major industry and the startup development in the country. As I mentioned, and we modified it, tourism is another major industry in the country. And the issue is that tourism develops very rapidly if we omit this 2020 year and COVID-19. But startups addressing the issues of the major industry of the country is not as high as it should be. They choose areas that are less developed, that have less importance for us, and that need more people to kind of bring up and bring in front of this top industries. So even though winemaking and tourism are major industries, like the biggest amount of startups are in the field of gaming, entertainment, other types, or artificial intelligence, and none of them are related to those major industries. So I guess for this, it's necessary to make some kind of awareness raising activities, or trainings could be nationwide to promote the linkages between the most advanced industries and the SME profiles.
And TTCI, you know what TTCI?
What do you
TTCI,
mean?
ACE, Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah, index. Yeah, right. That was somewhere up. The
For that
tourism.
matter,
1 second.
ACE.
Yeah, here's the tourism section. Right here. Okay. TTCA, yeah.
As you know, tourism is a major industry in your country, but TTCI is a little low comparing to.
It is.
Yeah. Then what's the main role for improving this index by JICA or any other regional, local government or central government?
Currently, there is no single project aimed at improving the index. So actually, I remember there were several projects proposed in tourism direction out of like hundreds of projects, but several that I remember. And they were focused mainly on like local tourism development, like for locals, not for international tourists. Which means that maybe in high mountainous regions, there were no online platforms where you could check if someone was renting a private house, not, let's say you don't want a hotel, right? So that kind of very local and narrow projects that could not really contribute to increasing the TTCI. It's impossible because when we're talking about the global rank and Georgia's place on like the spot on this ranking, we need to talk about more global solutions for the issue, not like the local and that narrow. So that's just the project, in my opinion, that could increase this index should be focused on international tourists and more global perspectives rather than just local ideas. And currently, there's no single project aimed at doing that with global perspective.
Yes, I think we're just doing some popularization projects in global, I think.
But it doesn't help. There are no flights yet, that frequent flights. And people
Yes.
are still scared to come.
I think we have internet connection.
level we are doing just for popularization the Georgia, which is not working as well.
Yeah, because I think I mentioned in the country report that our government decided to allow international visitors with a very easily obtainable visa for a year to stay here and to work remotely from Georgia, but only on one condition: if that visitor has a minimum of $2,000 salary per month, I guess, if I remember correctly. So that's the only thing that we're doing currently in this promotional parts, but that doesn't really help because there are no frequent flights, and so still people are afraid to leave their houses and go to other countries due to this COVID-19.
Okay, Casey, thank you for your answers for the question, because this
Thank
is,
you.
we spent so much time. So yeah, after presentation of Algeria, we have more time to giving feedback and having answers for that. So yeah, Mr. Sava, can you start your presentation?
Yes, okay. Good morning. I share my presentation. So I have prepared the smaller presentation of the action plan of Algeria. I can start. Okay. Okay. Excuse me if my English is not very well. It's my fourth language, so excuse me in advance. I start with the presentation of the status of the economy and the industry. So we can summarize the economy of Algeria as an economy dependent on oil and natural gas, with a low growing rate between 1 and 2%. The trade is largely carried out with countries of the European Union and China, as it illustrates in this graphic. The rate of Algerian export product in 2019 is very dependent on the oil and natural gas. Yes. So our major industry, we have the energy industry with the oil and natural gas, with the level of this technology is increased commodity manufactured product and low technology manufacturing. For the second industry is the food processing. However, in like Korean industry, which is export-oriented, our food processing is local consumption, for local consumption. So the level of level of technology includes commodities, low and intermediate technology, only intermediate technologies, level of technology. Regarding R&D development, we have a few companies that have R&D development department. So only 3 or 4 big companies which have this R&D department. Our economic development goal includes modernizing and integrating Algeria industry, improving the attractiveness, also providing, promoting the digital economy, encouraging manufacturers to modernize their product tools, and also encourage creation of SME and startups. The development direction. So inside industry, we plan to valorize the natural resources through their exploitation with the higher technology level. Also diversification of our industry fabric and promotion of the new industry with the potential innovation and technology transfer. Inside side of enterprises, we plan to updating and upgrading business and making innovation as a driven of industry development, and also developing of human resource. Inside infrastructure, we plan to modernize the infrastructure and creation the network of company through clusters. Our country have selected some fields of development which are steel and metallurgic, electronic industry, and renewable energy industry, industrial chemistry, and hydraulic, vendor, pharmaceutical, advanced technology and ICT, food industry, and mechanic and automotive, also textiles. Now I present the national SWOT of Algeria. However, we have make the national and the regional SWOT. So I start with the national SWOT analysis. So the stringing of Algeria are the availability of natural resources. So we have all the natural resources, oil, gas, uranium, and other. also the good climate for industry, agriculture, and tourism. We have also an advantage of highest solar potential in the world, also the low external debt, a good education and skill of population and cheap labor, and also there are some government support. However, we have some weakness, which are the height dependently with the oil and gas revenue, the low level of technology of R&D industry, corruption, bureaucracy, political and social crisis, and also financial sector weakness. Our opportunity is our localization, which is proximity of an important market, Union European and Africa continent. However, our threat is growing of the global and regional competition and foreign exchange reserve, which is in field fall. So our first conclusion is that Algeria has a huge territory with diverse natural resources. However, each region has its own problems and strengths. So we have make also the regional SWOT analysis. Our region is Béjaïa. So our we have significant number of agriculture and agri-food companies, and the majority are flexible and dynamic SME in national area. Also, we have an appropriate climate for agriculture. Also, we have a university, high school of computer, and 36 laboratory and different research center. Increasing of the demand of high technology communication service and attractive and growing and renewable energy sector in Béjaïa. However, we have some weakness, which are underdeveloped collaboration culture in R&D and innovation. Also, the lack of quality control and certification and expertise, the lack of exposure to the international markets, and the complicated process applying for funding. Our opportunities in regional level, we have important national market, collaboration of the university with international institutions, IT infrastructure development, encouragement of our government by facilitating ICT sectors. And our threat is the political instability and geographic situation, geopolitical situation, and also increasing of agri-food segment competition. We have also the import culture in our country. So from this SWOT analysis, we have the final conclusion that Béjaïa region can contribute to the national development through developing cultural and R&D innovation and technology transfer in 3 sectors. We have selected 3 sectors: so agri-food sector, ICT sector, and the renewable energy. So we have motivate our building for Technopark with our strengths, which are education and research in the, as we have university, a big university with 3 campus, a high school with 36 laboratory and different research center. Also, we have our regional and industry, which includes agri-food, IT, and renewable energy. And Béjaïa hosts more than 5% of the country SMEs. And in this year, we have our government encouraged the creation of startup and technology transfer by changing number of policy and law and decrees. So this it's a favorite climate to build a new technopark. So in Algeria, there is no this concept of as Technopark or as the Korean side. So we have one cyber park, we called a cyber park in Algiers, exactly in Sidi Abdullah. And in this location, we have a national agency for the promotion and development technoparks. It is built and since 2004, but effective only in this year. In this technopark, there is only an incubator of ET startups. So we plan to build a technopark with the mission of for business and technology growing of industry in Bijaya region, providing comprehensive and customized support for the three selected sectors. Its goal is to participate in the national and regional development network strategy and accelerate technology investment in the local industry and startups. So the main compound of the proposed Technopark is the Policy Planning Department, Business Support Department, Regional Industry Promotion Office, and Administrative Support Office, and also 3 regional centers for agri-food, ET, and renewable energy. The establishment of infrastructure for startup includes startup incubation, training, shared service, business development for enterprises, and R&D support. So the major issue and difficulty on developing this Technopark model inside infrastructure is the high cost needed to build the new infrastructure. Also, there is no explicit law regarding the management and financial support for Technopark. Inside BUG, we have the local government with the support of the university are not able to cover all the expenses regarding the operationalization of the Technopark. We also noted the lack of competence and expertise in this field and the lack of experience in this financial support. So for budget plan, we have proposed 2 schemes, 2 solutions. So the first one is the using the redundant space of the university and the high school, and the second is to build a new infrastructure. So the costs are not very high. We have not experience in this sector for building the Technoparks. So here we have detailed the 2 schema with the new building 2.5 million and using the redundant space is only $16,000. So we have also the action plan timetable and which start the first quarter of 2021, and we plan to start incubation of SMEs and start support in the second quarter of 1990 and 2023. I finished my presentation, so if you have a question, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Seba. And yeah, Mr. Choi will give you some feedback about it.
Mr. Seba, thanks for your good explanation, especially detailed SWOT analysis, including Bezaja,
Bijaya said the regional.
Bizaya.
Yes, Bijaya.
It said now fossil energy like oil can be a gift, but if not used well, cannot be. So is it expected how long oil are available considering the reserves in your country?
Oil and gas, the latest estimation is for 27 years. Only is 27 years, the last estimation.
So I recommend you to diversify your industrial structure in your country based on oil or natural gas industry. Is there any plan to diversify your industry structure in your country or region?
So the problem in Algeria is the political crisis, which in the country there is a changing in the government. So there is not stability. So each government with his own plan, and it's not the same. There is changing. There is no stability in the planning, the economic planning and the industry. So this is the big issue.
Your report is showing 8 sort of industry by 8 page. 8 page. Page 8.
I understand.
That there are 8 sort of industry in your country for developing major industry. Page 8. Okay. You are showing the major industry is steel and metallurgical, electrical and household appliances, and renewable energies, and so on. Are there any plans to develop this industry for your country or region related with this industry?
Can I answer? Can I answer the question? Recently, Algeria goes under the Sustainable Development according to the 17 objective of United Union Organization, and for diversification of economy and the transition of digital, they implement kind of they want to implement kind of startup and spin-off within university for research valorization. So they encourage to assess business incubator. But the question is what is the basis of this plan? So they make kind of arrangement plan with the UNO from 2012 to the horizon of 2030, and for renewable energy. The plan for 2030 is to attain kind of 20,000 kilowatt in photovoltaic and wind energy, CSP, biomass, and so on. And this is for this we have a data according to the Ministry of Energy. And the second one is for the irrigated agriculture area. As you know, during the last decade, this zone in the Sahara, in the south of Algeria, which is representing almost 80% of the territory, has increased by more than 60,000 hectares. So it is currently amounts to approximately 255,000 hectares, which represent currently 30% of the entire project. So the major agricultural regions are located in the south of Algeria. We can say Ziban, Tuat, Emzab, Souf, and Ouargla. So the main sustainable development in the country is based on United Union Organization.
In Europe, emphasizing to establish a new technopark in the University of Bejaia. Yeah.
Yes.
Are there any reason to build in the University of Bejaia?
Yeah, I make some, because you asked this question.
Should be built in the University of Bejaia. Are there any reason new technopark should be built in the University of Bejaia? Your report is emphasizing on establishing a new technopark in the area of your university.
Actually, we have three main reasons. Because according to the central government, they assess or coordinate with the local government to emphasize kind of business incubators in the area of Bejaia. So they are in charge of managing or giving the platform, the territory platform for the incubator. And with the collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Institution in our country, they promote this kind of collaborative action with the local government within universities. So the onlyest university in the region of Bejaia is University of Bejaia, with the 3 campuses. So this is the first reason. The second reason is all our collaboration with the national and international socio-economic partner, and especially the leaders in the 3 sectors we mentioned in the promotion of our future incubator, if you can say this. Hopefully, they are encouraging us to promote this kind of structure within the university. And the third reason is since maybe 10 or 15 years, University of Bejaia is encouraging kind of we can say multi-structure, emphasizing the coordination with local governments to create some international challenges around innovative idea and solution for some international groups and SMEs, especially in the region and in national. And in the last few weeks, last month, maybe in I don't remember exactly the date, but it was 25th of October. We had kind of innovation challenge at the national level, and we win the 2 second for third place. So this encouraged us.
Sonia?
To go toward an innovative Technopark and to give some opportunity to this 3 big area that we have in Bejaia.
And have you ever analyzed the priority of developing industry among the many industries which are steel, oil, and IT, agriculture?
Mr. Sabaha said, if we go from local development, we should also give the same opportunity as in central government. And now the government of Algeria is emphasizing to assess kind of diversification in the economy around agriculture, so agri-food processing, because it's the second big industry independent from oil and gas. And behind this, the first industry, which is hydrocarbons, they want to make some emphasizement in diversification around the renewable energy. And if you see the scheme for 2030 is almost behind the wind energy, the photovoltaic, and this is also one of the speciality in the local region that we are in.
You are suggesting the major industry for desire, agri-food, agro-food, renewable energy, and IT. Then, if need, how can we foster the other industries, excepting city industry?
Actually, we thought about it a lot, and from now, we give opportunity for all kind of industry to be incubated in the university, kind of spin-off or startup. But if we go through the central government policy
Sonia, we have connection problem.
to
with
give
you.
the same priority. So,
Oh yeah, now it's okay.
okay. Sorry, you didn't hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I said if for this question we thought about it a lot, and we don't want to discriminate other industry, but we want to give more accessibility to these three kind of industry, because we have some kind of lack of financial support for these three big industry in Algeria. But beside of this, we want to give same opportunity to nurture other industry in terms of incubation and incubation system, because we still do this function in our university. So we don't want to say we don't nurture other industry, but we want to give some priority to other projects related to these three industries.
I am suggesting the priority of developing industry should be fixed in your country or region before setting the location of new technopark. You should be fixed the priority of for developing industry in your country or region before establishing new technopark. What do you think about it? Is there any priority for developing industry in your country or Algeria?
I can say yes and no. Yes, because since maybe 10 years ago, they promote first STP, a kind of a pole of excellence in the north of Algeria, which is devoted for biotechnology. But they are just kind of accelerator, as in Georgia fellow was said. They just kind of incubators, but in terms of accelerating the project. And also we have the agency that Sabah mentioned in Algiers, in the capital, which is promoting the Technoparks. It built since 2014, but it is just under operationalization in this year. So what's the difference between this kind of STP and ours is that our proposition promotes all the aspects of incubation, not financial support, but marketing support, which is a lack in our country, in terms of competencies and expertise, which is also a big lack in our country, and also other processing of incubation in this category of already existing incubator.
As already informed you, there are four categories for successful Technopark model. One of them is space. And there any problem to exploit redundant space. The research institution to establish Technopark in the region of your university.
Actually, before the training, we didn't see any problem of this, but after the training, there is one lecture of professor, I don't remember the name of the professor, who's saying that there is kind of problem with redundant places from university. But in our case, we are still in opening these spaces. We are not in the operationalization step. So if we can say they are empty space for now, and we want to give them an identity inside the university, and say for the R&D support we can go through the valorization of research, because this is the main objective of the Ministry of Higher Institution. So go through valorization of research under the R&D development, and for promotion of marketing and commercialization and patent support, etc. These 3 or 4 items could be implemented in the Technopark that we had, and go further for establishing, because in our university we have 3 campus in 3 different, you can say, sub-region, and we want to give for each sub-region an identity for promoting agriculture in terms of food processing, and another one for ICT, because we have a high school of ICT implemented, newly opened in that sub-area, and the third one is for renewable energy, which is also the third mission of our university for today. So based on the central government, for them it's not kind of redundant spaces which is the problem. In fact, they encourage this kind of structure, because they want to make kind of mixing all the structure we have, and you can say pricing our experiences.
There are 3 kinds of centers in the university. In the Bezaya University, which agro-food industry center, renewable energy industry center, and IT industry center. And
yeah.
Are they owned by local government or university?
Yeah, for the agri-food, we have a national center implemented inside the university. It is inside the university, and it's opening 3-4 years ago. For the ICT, we are newly opened the high school of ICT, where Mr. Seba is working actually, and we want to dedicate one building for the Technopark, for the one block of Technopark. And for renewable energy, we have 3 main research lab which working in this area.
Is center, they are owned by country or university?
by country, not by university, but they are implemented inside the university. Why inside university? Because they dedicate some researcher to manage these centers.
Then I am suggesting that the major role for between city center and new established Technopark should be clarified about the main role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, we want to go through the reinforcement of this redundant place and give them kind of spirit of Technopark, because it's easiest for us, even if we don't have any financial support from local government. We can emphasize the central government, and even if we go through the reinforcement, the budget is very limited. But going toward the new infrastructure, this is very hard for us, because honestly, we cannot support this kind of financial investment. So for us, the scheme 1 is more favorable for in our region instead of the scheme 2.
Are there any specified centers excluding city centers in your university? Are there any centers excluding?
No, there is one center for Berber language. I don't know if you know this, but it is another language in our country, and we have this national center dedicated for this language. But other centers of research, no. We have only one unit research for modelization and mathematical optimization.
We Korea have a similar problem to connect between a similar institution such as Technopark and any other regional development agency. So you should consider the connection among your center and any other centers in other regions, including the other regions.
Yeah, completely right. You are completely right, and maybe we can think about it as partnership or kind of collaboration between the central, because there are many private incubator in the banking system, for instance, which are developed by international companies. So I agree with you when you say this, because we should think about this kind of partnership be among all these dedicated spaces. Otherwise, it will not work, especially for commercialization.
Thank you, Mr. Stefan, and thank you, Sonia. Yeah. Yeah, so we have time for listening to each other's presentation for Georgia and Algeria. Yeah. Okay, so from now on, I rather recommend to have time for discussion from Georgian fellows and Algerian fellows. So I think Georgian fellows can give you questions or comment on Algerian side or Algerian side. Of course, Algerian fellows can have some comments and answers about it. So yeah, if you have some questions about each country, then we might have time for having questions and answer time. So if you have any question. Nope.
Actually, we don't have any questions. Thank you for your presentation, and it's very good for us to take some new from you. So thank you.
Okay,
And
so
welcome.
you have?
I just have one small question for for Georgia. Just to let me know more about the this kind of agency, how you are dealing with incubation of startups in your agency. Is it an agency for coordination or an agency for promoting projects? Because we have similar agency, but it's dedicated for promoting incubators and Technopark. But the presentation that I heard, they are emphasizing the promotion of startup. So I just want to know what's the mission of your national.
Okay, actually, Georgia's Innovation and Technology Agency's mission is a formation of an ecosystem which improves all kinds of innovation and technologies in our country, and to promote a commercialization of knowledge and innovations, to stimulate using them in all fields of economy, and to create an environment for the growth of innovation and high-tech products and developing high-speed internet nationwide.
Okay, so it is kind of coordinating. Is it right?
It's a governmental organization. Is
Okay,
it
okay.
your question?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. For tomorrow, we will have ending ceremony by video. So please watch the video. And if you modify your action plan, you have to submit the modified action plan until tomorrow. So
Okay.
remember that. And yeah, one more thing, you have to submit the post survey. Okay, so maybe you will connect to the post survey URL by the Google Classroom. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. And if
Thank you.
pandemic is over, we will invite you to invite all of the fellows to South Korea. So I hope someday we will meet each other together. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.